his reputation was the social capital. Brand, narrative control, and social capital. Why did Rosé's album flop, and why did y'all not give him the same grace that y'all gave everybody else? I'm waiting, I want to know. But by the end of this video, I think it's going to be very clear to everyone who's involved. Now, let's talk about what a flop actually is, first of all. So how many albums did this gentleman sell? I have it all here on my notes because I'm not going to miss a thing. Now, first off, he sold 2,000 hard copies his first week, and anywhere between 17,000, 19,000 digital first week. Now, first of all, I would like to say that I don't think that the level of which the records were sold, or floppiness, if you will, is being discussed enough. Because every single female artist who has dropped within the past year and a half, and I will actually list them off, have sold more albums than Rick Ross did. I'm not even going to list the ones that everybody suspects or expects, but the fact that people call JT, Ice Spice, Lotto, Sexy Red a flop, and they all sold more than him his first week, should tell you exactly how much a fall from grace it actually has been. But moving on, because we're not focusing on the numbers. That is not the point of this video. We want to know, why did no one cut him any slack? Where's the grace for the biggest boss that we've seen thus far? Okay, because my whole thing is, we grew up listening to music by Rick Ross, did we not? We did. He collaborated with a lot of our favorite artists. The first thing we want to talk about is the actual promo. The promo for the album. I think we've seen it. I don't think a lot of us knew it was promo. I personally didn't. When I seen the interviews and the snippets from him doing interviews for his promo run, if I could be genuinely honest, I thought he was just doing interviews. And I was very much so wondering, what's making Rick Ross come out and start doing interviews right now? I know he ain't hard up for cash, so I'm confused. During his promo tour, people kept asking him about anything but his album. They were asking him about Drake. They asked him about Tia Kemp. They asked him about his relationship. But it was very few snippets that you've seen on the internet that actually pertain to his actual freaking album. So that in itself, I would say, is a big reason. The fact that people were more in...
Go to sing around Little Man, right? They're going to make some of it, but you constantly play your records that you collab with Drake on, and you encourage the fans to sing. So that's not trying to be messy. That's you trying to put on a show.
Let me tell you some shit.
Did you put Drake at your level?
No.
You're not putting Drake at your level.
Trying to ask this man about Drake and Tia Kemp, two people that he absolutely despises, is beyond me. But anyways, that brings me to the next thing, because he's always been seen as the biggest boss, somebody who's well respected, all of these things, right? When we found out that Rick Ross was in fact a police officer who was impersonating a street nigga, that made him lose a lot of respectability in the community already, because he does all of this pandering to street niggas and this and that. But the reality is, not only does he not live this life, I don't think that he ever did. And so when you have somebody come out like a Tia Kemp, who is your baby mama, who personally knows you, and she's basically saying, take care of our kids, you fucking greasy fat dirtbag, you got me fucked up. And instead of him being the biggest boss and doing what we thought he would do as somebody who we respected as a boss, he tried to shit on his baby mama. And by doing that, he allowed her to start controlling his narrative, because all it took was that one drop of truth to make everything about Rick Ross it muddied the waters completely. So you went from us thinking you were a real street nigga to you were actually a police officer to now you're the biggest boss who doesn't take care of his children, while simultaneously running through women who are half your age. But that's not even what we're talking about right now. So I think that the fall from grace truly began to happen when he started separating from how people actually... So his reputation was the social capital. It's like any celebrity who is down bad, as long as they still have a decent reputation, they also have a decent social capital, which means they can go into places and get things for free. They can drop merch and people will buy it. All of those things are wrapped around your reputation, which is directly related to what? Your brand. And what is your brand? It is how people see you. It's what you're known for. It's what you're known as. So we got the biggest boss up here. His reputation is being a real nigga. Therefore, his social capital always lies in him being the realest nigga and being the biggest boss who came from the streets. Boom. He didn't come from the streets, and now he's not the realest nigga. Where's the social capital? Where did it go? It begins to go down the drain at that point. That's the part that, like, everybody wants to keep getting caught up on Drake, which is a whole nother part of the conversation. But in general, Rick Ross's social capital has been going down the drain since he started beefing with 50 Cent. Since he started beefing with Tia Kim. And 50 Cent is a whole nother video in itself. We're not going to get into that. Continue to walk with me. So now his social capital has begun to decline before we even get into Drake. Okay? So now, we go fast forward back to him doing the interviews. They keep asking him about people he don't even fuck with. They ask him about Drake and Tia Kim, right? And instead of him taking that opportunity to finally gain control of his own narrative again, he did exactly what people thought he was going to do, which was basically try to shit on these people and talk about how they ain't shit. Say how he's a better artist than Drake, Tia Kemp's clout chasing off of his name, when actually at this point, walk with me because of social capital, he's actually clout chasing off of Tia Kemp's name. Sounds crazy, but the reality is she has more emotion right now than Rick Ross does. That's just the bottom line. I'm sorry you might not want to hear it, but it's true. So the continuous issues with women, family, then being called out for not taking care of your kids, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to double down on not taking care of my kids. Then I get on the radio and I talk shit about my kids' mama, knowing that my kids is going to hear it. I talk shit about Drake, knowing that I've already been on a press tour about Drake and that my fan base, right, and Drake's fan base are like this. But Drake's social capital is up here and Rick Ross's is down here. Also, same situation with 50 Cent. Drake and 50 Cent still have social capital. Rick Ross has no social capital. So for him to talk shit about people who have high social capital and a high fan base, what does that do? If this is a fan base that they share, right? It literally swooped it over here and now Rick Ross is sitting over there. Now you don't have access to that whole fan base because you wanted to talk shit and stand on what you were saying like the biggest boss that you are, but your social capital is not matching your reputation and your brand anymore. Actually, it's matching your reputation. It's just not matching what you keep trying to act like your brand is. That brand has been going poo. Okay, you're not the biggest boss anymore. You're the fakest fucking boss. That's the problem. Like, and I think that people are not looking at it deeply enough because the horn effect is real. When somebody thinks that you are a bad person, they will think that you're a bad person for everything. And it's just a reason to jump on the hate train, especially if someone is in a parasocial relationship with you. And I think that a lot of Rick Ross's early on fans were definitely in parasocial relationships with him. And once they realized, bitch, you was a cop. And you was a cop that don't take care of your kids. What street people do you know that like niggas that was cops and don't take care of their kids? Nobody. And that's mainly who Rick Ross's fan base is. Like, a lot of these rappers have fans that are white and a bunch of kids and shit like that. That's never been Rick Ross's fan base. So he can keep talking about how numbers don't matter and this and that. But the numbers mattered before he started flopping. That's the thing. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up by saying that at the end of the day, people do not just listen to you as an artist. People have parasocial relationships. People have relationships with your social capital that you don't even know about as an individual and as an artist. And once your social capital begins to decline because your reputation is going down the drain, your brand no longer holds value. And I think out of everything that this album flop did, it solidified for Rick Ross that his social capital has went down the drain. And at this point, unfortunately, he's not a valuable street rapper. And at the end of the day, it's over for you niggas.